From the Samsung Production Studios in the heart of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, it's your News 13.
Brought to you by SSPTV and the Standard Speaker.
A day of fun turns terrifying for a busload of YMCA campers and counselors as their bus is hit from behind by a tractor trailer on Interstate 81. Team coverage of the campers and counselors in the accident on the interstate. Our top story on News 13 for this Friday. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kathy Bazinski. It was to be a Friday full of fun that came to an end on the interstate near McAdoo. A school bus full of kids and counselors from the day camp at the Hazleton YMCA were in the middle of a three-vehicle crash on the highway. We begin with News 13's team coverage with Christina Papa, who was there as dozens of children and counselors were pulled from the bus in stretchers.
Little campers were strapped onto stretchers and taken for medical treatment after their school bus was sandwiched between a passenger car and a tractor trailer near the McAdoo exit this morning.
Three total vehicles involved, and the school bus was filled with kids out of the YMCA from Hazleton.
Two buses from the YMCA camp were on their way to the JFK pool in Pottsville for a day trip when the accident happened. 40 kids between 6 and 9 years old were on this bus with 7 staff members. They were headed southbound on 81 when the back of the bus was hit.
It appeared that traffic had backed up from, it was slowing down as a result of the construction, which is about a mile up from here.
State police say this hometown-based tractor trailer hit the back of the bus, which then caused the bus to rear-end this smaller car. School buses don't have seat belts, so the impact threw kids and adults from their seats.
Yeah, there's multiple injuries. However, there doesn't appear to be anything life-threatening or very serious at this point.
Frackville troopers say that none of the injuries on the bus were fatal, but at least half of the kids were taken to General Hospital.
One adult was flown to the Geisinger Medical Center with head trauma. 18 children and adults with apparent injuries were rushed by ambulance to Hazleton General Hospital for treatment. Southbound lanes on Interstate 81 were backed up for at least an hour as responders from all over Schuylkill and Luzerne counties and the Frackville State Police worked quickly to get the kids and others injured off the highway and to the hospital.
We were assisted by various fire departments, McAdoo, Monoy City, and a lot of ambulances. The ambulances were great. They came out as many as we could get to make sure that the kids were taken care of.
There was a second bus of campers on the highway that wasn't involved in the crash, and those kids are all fine. Kids from the first bus who were cleared by the EMTs at the scene were then put on the second bus, which headed to Hazleton General for an additional checkup. News 13's Matthew Petrillo was at the hospital as injured and shaken kids and their frantic parents arrived.
Droves of concerned parents rushed to Hazleton General Hospital after hearing about the crash.
It was just like you're just so scared and just so worried about your own kid. And then I got there and I saw her standing there, and then you see these kids coming off the bus on stretchers and crying. It was terrible.
The children on the bus were between the ages of 6 and 9 years old. Annie's daughter was a camp counselor on the bus and says it was a chaotic scene inside the hospital.
The kids were just screaming and crying. That will never get out of my head because they were just so scared.
Megan says she suffered from whiplash from the crash, as did some of the children on the bus. 11 children and counselors were sent to the emergency room, while 26 checked out in the triage area. That's a total of 37 patients that were seen at Hazleton General from the bus accident. They mostly suffered minor injuries, just scrapes and bruises, but Captain Hoke of the Pennsylvania Police says it could have ended a lot worse.
It's a great cause for concern for, first and foremost, the parents who suddenly became aware that their children may have been on one of those two buses that was impacted.
Fortunately, no one suffered life-threatening injuries.
Injuries range from bumps and bruises to some head injuries. I think we had one child that had a potential fracture. We had children, but we also did have some adults coming in as well, counselors. So there's a wide range of injuries, but everything that I've been told thus far, I don't think there's anything that we view as really being critical.
All our counselors are very dedicated to these kids, get very involved with them.
Sue Farley of the Hazleton YMCA says camp counselors often bring children on field trips, and they're trained to respond in these situations.
And having no idea of the seriousness, it's, your heart kind of stops and you say a quick prayer that everyone's okay, and then you go and do what you need to do.
She says telling Telling a parent what happened is difficult, but since the parents have come to the hospital, the children are mostly doing better.
When I got there, they were upset, shaken, but when they came here, the hospital staff was so good with them and kind of distracted them. So the kids are doing pretty well. The kids are doing pretty well. We were able to, as soon as we went through our, we have very strict procedures about who is released, a child is released to, and as soon as we could verify that the person who was authorized to take the child, there was the reunion with the parent, and they were obviously very relieved to see their children.
Farley says the YMCA summer program will continue throughout August until school begins. Meanwhile, police say it's too early to tell exactly how the accident happened. They're still investigating the cause of it. Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Hazleton.
And investigators are now saying that the double fatal earlier this week on Interstate 81, which involved a trucker from Sugarloaf, was an accident. Anthony Liza of Old Forge and Jeffrey Godek of Music were killed when, for some reason, their minivan stopped in the middle of the Interstate 81 near Avoca. Police say that 62-year-old Charles Brown of Sugarloaf, a driver for White Bread and Sons Trucking, was driving the interstate with his rig slammed into their minivan. The Luzerne County coroner says the men died of traumatic head injuries and has ruled their deaths as accidental. Still no word on the condition of the truck driver. A federal appeals court today reaffirmed its ruling, which blocks the city of Hazleton from enforcing a crackdown on immigrants who are in the United States illegally. The Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Philadelphia issued that decision today. The city's ordinances were written to deny permits to businesses that hire people in the country illegally, as well as fine landlords who rent to them. The anti-illegal immigration ordinances were originally advocated by former mayor, now Congressman Lou Barletta. The U.S. Supreme Court considered the case 2 years ago and sent it back to the Circuit Court for a ruling. Hazleton has relied on private donations to defend the legal battle about that ordinance. And still ahead on News 13, enjoy today because a few clouds will be rolling through your weekend. The forecast in News 13 weather. But first, a local school district now distancing itself from a violent video made by a member of its school board who's also a local police chief. That story when News 13 continues. All this week, we've told you about Gilberton's police chief who says the vulgar, violent YouTube video he made was to promote his constitutional rights. Well, he's also on the North Schuylkill School Board, and now it's taken a stand on the video. Matthew Petrillo is here to tell us what they've done. Matthew?
Well, Kathy, his job on the school board is to make decisions for the future of children in the school district. And the violence and language in the video questions his moral character. So the other members of the school board are trying to distance themselves as much as they can from the video, but still, they're not removing Kessler from the board.
This time around.
The North Schuylkill School Board told News 13 they have their hands tied. They issued this statement. It reads, "We do not condone or agree with his actions or communications as produced in his online video. His thoughts and feelings portrayed in the content of the videos are not shared by any other member of this board, the North Schuylkill School District, its administration and faculty, and are his and his alone." Now, the board wouldn't elaborate much more, but Emily Leader of the Pennsylvania School Boards Association did.
There are very limited ways that you can remove an elected official from office, and that none of them fit, in my opinion, as to this video.
Leader says people on the board can only be fired for reasons like felonies or for missing too many meetings. Still, the North Schuylkill board policies say members should, quote, be of good moral character. But Leader says that's so subjective, it's difficult to say what good moral character is.
As a cop, a chief of police, someone who knows the legal system, do you think he knew that before he posted the video?
I don't know whether he did or not know the ins and outs of whether he could be forced off the school board.
Now, Chief Kessler returns from vacation Monday, and Kathy, News 13 will meet with him for his first in-person interview when he gets back.
The chapters just keep unfolding. Yep. Thanks a lot, Matt. Well, time now for our regional weather from the National Weather Service. Checking the radar, nothing to see here but blue skies and sunshine, but that's going to change just a little bit as we get ready for our weekend. Tonight's creative condition is just right for a sunny summer day. It's by Jasmine Melendez, a student at Hazleton Elementary Middle School, and she drew two girls having a picnic in the park, and they're even sharing their lunch with some birds. And let's take a look at News 13 weather from the National Weather Service for Greater Hazleton. For tonight, mostly clear with a low around 62 degrees. For Saturday, partly sunny with late afternoon showers and thunderstorms moving in, a high near 78. Scattered showers and thunderstorms at night with a low around 63. And heading to Schuylkill County tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 60. Then Saturday, partly sunny with a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms, a high near 80. Chance of showers and thunderstorms right through the night with a low around 66. Well, for more than 70 years, one local community has paid tribute to those who served our country with a memorial of honor. But with the years, it's deteriorated. As Stephanie Gorney tells us, that's why the people of Whitehaven are trying to continue the honor with a new one.
It holds nearly 700 names of veterans and those who lost their lives fighting for the freedom that we have today. The Whitehaven Military Honor Roll was created back in the 1930s to honor our fallen heroes, and unfortunately has not had any additional names added to it for almost 22 years.
We formed the Honor Roll Society so that we could work on improving the location and making it a place where people could really come and visit and get some education on those that have served our community and our area communities. What we'll be doing is redoing the whole area and then including a ton of names that are missing from the last 22 years of veterans who have served the borough residents in different branches of the military.
The group of volunteers is looking to purchase a new memorial where the history of those who fought can live on and always be remembered.
The memorial will hold about 8,000 names, and so it'll be here for a long time. It's going to be 17 feet, and it'll be on a curve almost similar to what we have, and it'll be 14 feet high, and it'll be all red granite, and then the panels where the name will be engraved will all be in black granite.
The new memorial will hold over 8,000 names, and the volunteers currently have 800 names to put on it. That number keeps on rising, however, as the group continues to get calls from all over the country.
It's been pretty exciting, and it's real exciting to start talking to people who remember coming to Whitehaven, visiting family here in Whitehaven, or still have family here in Whitehaven. So it's kind of created a little bit of a reunion too, of being able to talk with folks that have left the town and where they are now and where their families are.
There are many fundraisers being planned to help purchase the new memorial, including a pig roast taking place tomorrow from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. If you are unable to come out but would like to make a donation or have a name added to the honor roll, you could do so by calling the phone numbers on your screen. Stephanie Gorney, News 13, Whitehaven.
And let's check the winning midday lottery numbers. Good luck if you play. The Daily, 285. The Big Four, 8449. Quinto, 54038. And the Treasure Hunt, 4562325. Hope you won.
Good evening, everyone, and here's tonight's Talk of the Town report. First tonight, the downtown Hazleton Farmers Market will continue this Saturday, July 27th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Cityscape parking lot next to the Chamber of Commerce. A free workshop will be held entitled Common Landscape Mistakes and How to Avoid Them from 10 to 11. For more information, please call the Chamber at 570-455-1509. And finally, the Survivors After Suicide Support Group will hold their meetings every second and fourth Thursday of each month from 6 to 7:30 in the West Hazleton Borough Building. For more information about the group, please call 570-455-9902. That's tonight's Talk of the Town. News 13 would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of these recently departed. William J. Malloy Sr. of Hazleton. Funeral will be held Monday at 9:30 a.m. from the Joseph B. Conahan Funeral Home. Friends may call Sunday from 5 to 7 p.m. Tonight's obituaries have been brought to you by the Smilax Floral Shop located on 15th Street in Hazleton. For delivery to all local funeral homes, call 570-454-0111. And by Doves of White, serving Schuylkill and surrounding counties, call 570-205-1597.
SSPTV Sports on News 13 with Fred Barletta Jr. and Ron Marchetti.
Well, it wasn't the most memorable night for either the Indianapolis Indians or Russ Kanzler, for that matter. A double dip, and, well, Indianapolis loses both games. Let's take a look. First of all, breaking it down. First game, well, this was a game. It was a tight one, back and forth, but Charlotte would hang on and win 5-0. Now, the second game, the Indianapolis Indians not only didn't have any runs, they didn't have any hits. Now, the game only went 7 innings, but in the entire double dip, Russ Kanzler was 0 for. So that's said, one of the rare nights where Kanzler didn't look good in one way or another, but they'll go at him tonight as they get going again. They'll be home, returning after the road trip. Now, it wasn't scheduled as a doubleheader, folks, but if you had a ticket and you had nothing else to do, you not only saw a doubleheader worth, you saw a doubleheader plus a couple more innings. How about this one? 20 innings it took to settle things between the Rail Riders and the Toledo Mud Hens. The good news is the Rail Riders prevailed. How about 20 hits? You would figure if you got 20 hits in a game that went 20 innings, you'd score more than 2 runs, but that isn't the case. But they'll take it. And, well, the Rail Riders still with outside hopes of things, but certainly an entertaining game last night up in Music. As far as what goes on today, the Rail Riders need to take a nap, that's for sure, because they're going right out on the road to Louisville. As we said, Kanzler and his Indianapolis Indians, they're coming home. They'll entertain Syracuse. And the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, big series coming up. They head up to New England. They'll take on the Paw Sox, the first place Pawtucket Red Sox. And remember, they swept them here at Coca-Cola Park. If they could do that again, they'll be right in the heart of things as far as first place chase in the International League division. In Major League Baseball, the Yankees come home and they'll have Alfonso Soriano back in the lineup. Of course, he came up with the Yankees. He was traded away after the 2003 season. Do you remember for whom? How about he went to Texas for Alex Rodriguez? That's right, but he's back in the Bronx tonight. Alfonso Soriano, who hit one of the most memorable home runs in Yankee history that nobody ever remembers. He took Curt Schilling deep. Schilling walked off the mound behind in Game 7 of the 2001 World Series, but you know what happened there, particularly if you're a Yankee fan. Phillies go to Detroit. They limp out of St. Louis after getting embarrassed there. The Mets in Washington will do a double dip, and the Pirates will try to feast on the fish down in Miami. The Pirates still breathing down the necks of the St. Louis Cardinals. And as far as NASCAR, well, they're going to the Brickyard, and that's where they'll be this weekend as they start tuning up, getting ready to head back to Pocono. This week, it's the Samuel Deeds race at the Brickyard, so all the NASCAR fans be excited to see them at that legendary track. Tonight's sports is brought to you by Mountain Speedway. Here's a look at this weekend's action. It's going to be busy. The racing will begin at 6, so plenty of action this Saturday. Just $10 for grandstand admission. Kids under 10 are free, and if you're active military or a senior, you get a $2 discount. There's the website and the phone numbers. You could call them and get all the information on the excitement of racing down at Mountain Speedway.
Welcome to Short Shots on this final Friday of the month. Hi, everybody. A slow week makes a short show, and that's what we have for tonight's wrap. Let's review. Golfer Phil Mickelson rallied to win the British Open in Gullane, Scotland. 2 in a row for Lefty. The Valley West 10-11 All-Stars lost last Friday, but they bounced back on Saturday and Sunday by winning twice. The boys lost to Council Rock, Northampton, before beating Penridge and in a rematch knocking off Council Rock. But then on Tuesday, the run ended after losing the Section 6 Little League Championship game played in Richborough, which is very close to Northampton. What else? Serena Williams won the Swedish Tennis Open in Bastad, Sweden, her 53rd WTA title. Ryan Braun, who was an MVP in 2011 with the Milwaukee Brewers, was suspended by Major League Baseball this week without pay for the rest of the season for distributing and using performance-enhancing drugs. Another baseball bum. Speaking of PEDs, Alex Rodriguez wants to jump on a sinking ship in New York, but the Yankees don't want him. A-Rod will get his money, but the Yankees don't want the $28 million to come out of their pockets. Mother of God. So in my humble opinion, A-Rod will not play a Major League game this season. So we'll wait and see if I'm right. I don't want him back. No way. Even though the Yankees have hit just 1 home run in their last 11 games. I wish Yankee announcer Michael Kay would stop calling them the Bombers. And speaking of big bucks, Dustin Pedroia of the Boston Red Sox became the richest second baseman of all time, signing a 7-year deal for $100 million. Pitcher Matt the Spitter Garza was traded by the Chicago Cubs to the Texas Rangers, and he beat the Yankees on Wednesday night in his first Rangers start. And speaking of Garza, 3 years ago today, in 2010, Matt Garza of the Tampa Bay Rays pitched a no-hitter to defeat the Detroit Tigers 5-0 at Tropicana Field. It was the first no-hitter in the history of the Tampa Bay franchise. See you Monday. Till then, be a good sport and stay loose.
And here's what our media partner, the Standard Speaker, is working on for tomorrow's edition. Of course, it will have more on the accident in which the bus containing the kids and counselors from the Hazelton YMCA day camp was hit by a rig. You can read all about it online and in the Saturday edition of the Standard Speaker. And plenty more news and information headed your way on News 13. We will also have more on the kids and counselors hurt today when their camp bus was rear-ended by that tractor trailer. That story, much more news when the 13 crew comes right back.